welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexia, and today I'm going to be going over the 23 books I read in 2023, and I'm going to be ranking them from worst to best. Happy New Year! I have been kind of MIA for the past 3 months, but I'm excited for this year. One of my resolutions is to just post consistently on this channel. I just love being here. I love being a part of the booktube community. I love just geeking out about books and just sharing them in this space. I'm not sure who's watching them, but you know, it's fun to just do this. So that's one of my goals this year. I hope the holiday season was amazing for you guys, or I just hope that you got through it the best you could. Some new things, I guess, that happened in the past 3 months is I got blonder. I'm feeling like librarian Barbie right now. I completed my reading goal, which was 23 books in 2023. I kind of like the similar 23 thing. And I got for Christmas a fuzzy microphone. I'm so excited to use this thing. I literally just think it's because it's fuzzy, but you'll be seeing him in my future videos. I'm not using him right now because he needs to charge, you know, he has to charge up a little bit to handle my craziness, but I'm super excited. And probably the newest and most exciting thing is that I got engaged. Like, what? That's crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much a little summary of everything that's kind of happened for me. That's been exciting. Last year, like I said, I read 23 books. It's 10,074 pages in total. My reading goal this year, I wanted to challenge myself a little bit more and do 30. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so if you want to grab a little coffee, a little tea, a little water, whatever your drink preferences, and just cozy up and join me for this little video. I've already had a cup of coffee, if you can tell. I feel like I'm like, wee. So a little bit on how I'm ranking the books is the ones that are the worst, in my opinion, I either just didn't really enjoy reading it or I didn't gain much from reading them. And then the ones that are higher, I either gained a lot or learned a lot, even if it was not necessarily something I'd reread, or it was something that I just loved to read and I couldn't put it down, or a combination of both. I'm gonna try to keep all my descriptions super short. I did write little paragraphs in my notes app, so if you see me glancing that way, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep it as concise for you guys so this doesn't turn into like a 30-40 minute video. So let's get into it. Number 23, which I ended up giving it away because I just didn't want it on my bookshelves, was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, so I don't have it physically with me. I did rate that one 2 stars. So Ugly Love is basically just Tate meets Miles. They automatically have an undeniable attraction to each other, so they become friends with benefits. And of course, there's 2 rules of don't ask about his past and don't expect the future. That's pretty much all it is. I just didn't enjoy reading this. It was also a bit of a jump scare moment. There's like a stepbro, stepsis type of thing in the past, and that was also kind of strange and weird. There just wasn't much character development as well. They kind of seemed very one-dimensional. And of course, it's the typical emotionally unavailable male main character with the female main character who is like, I will change you. And then she wonders why she gets hurt in the process. That's just my take. I didn't really enjoy this one. That's the worst book I read in 2023. Number 22 is The Silent Patient. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this one. This one I rated 3.5 stars. It's a thriller about a famous painter who is accused of murdering her husband. Ever since that day, she just refuses to speak. And then a psychotherapist is hired to work with her, and he kind of takes it upon himself to kind of try to unravel the mystery there. The writing wasn't bad. I just read this when there was so much hype, and I wish I went into this not really knowing anything about it or hearing anything about it. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I wasn't very surprised by the ending, and I feel like that's what a lot of people were raving about. This one you'll like though if you like unreliable narrators, morally gray characters. It's a bit slow at first, but it's definitely engaging throughout the entire thing. I definitely wanted to continue reading it. At 21, we have All the Light We Cannot See. I rated this one 3.5 stars as well. Objectively, the writing is great. So it's not bad writing, it's not a bad story. I just personally thought it had a very slow pace. This one's about a blind girl who escapes to St. Malo or San Malo with her father, and it kind of shows how Nazi occupation happens there and how the war affects her during that time. And it's also about a gifted boy who ends up joining the German military, the Nazi army, to escape his fate becoming a worker in the mines. And you find that both of their lives are tied by a radio station that spews news and stories, and then that's how their paths end up crossing. It's marketed as a story that shows you the beautiful ways that people help each other during bleak times, and personally, I just didn't really see that. It was weird because I did care and empathize with the characters, but it also felt kind of flat to me. I think because the pace felt so slow to me at the end with what happens, I just didn't feel very connected in that way, and I just got kind of pissed off by the ending. The ending kind of just, I don't know, it just kind of ruined it for me. If you like more atmospheric writing, this is definitely for you. But yeah, like I said, it's beautiful and lyrical prose. I honestly started getting hooked when there was only like 200 pages left, and then the ending really threw me off guard. I did research the significance of the ending, and I think that helps it a lot more for me. But personally, I don't know, I just don't really recall, I don't really look back fondly on the journey of reading this book. So I'm so sorry for people who are fans. It's so bittersweet. Personally, it wasn't a great read for me. In places 2019 and 18, I had such a hard time ranking this section because objectively I think this one has better writing than these three, but I decided to put the Summer I Turned Pretty series in those places. What really just did it for me was that I just enjoyed reading these a lot more. But yeah, I will always say this, I recommend the show a lot more than the books. I think they do a better job with kind of showing you all the characters, having you connect with the characters, having you connect with being a teenager and going back to how it felt to be a teenager, where you just felt like everything was all or nothing. My official ranking is The Summer I Turned Pretty. I think I enjoyed the least just because it was a little bit more immature for me. I know that's the point, but 3 stars for The Summer I Turned Pretty. Then I ranked We'll Always Have Summer with 3.5 stars, which is the 3rd book. And then the one I enjoyed more is It's Not Summer Without You, which I rated 4 stars. For those who don't know, The Summer I Turned Pretty is about Belly and her family. They always spend the summer at her mom's best friend's beach house, and then one summer she just is growing up and realizes her relationship with the 2 sons of her mother's best friend is a little bit more complicated than she thought. Some of the tropes are love triangle, coming of age, but overall they're super quick reads. I think these were the fastest reads that I had last year. So if you want a fluffy read that is slightly frustrating. I recommend these, but like I said, watch the show. I feel like watching the show honestly made me connect with these. I think if I tried reading these without having that connection to the characters beforehand, I think I wouldn't have enjoyed these as much, or I wouldn't have even thought to continue. At 17, I have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I rated 3 stars. This one also has a very slow pace, and I also didn't get hooked until I was probably halfway through it. The premise of this one is a detective is hired by a man to discover the murder of his granddaughter. It's a family drama, murder mystery type thing, and once you get into it, you can't put it down. So I do think this was a really strong story, and I definitely recommend it. My boyfriend, my fiance, my fiance actually recommended for me to read this because I'd never read this, even though this is a classic. And then in 16, I have The Girl Who Played with Fire, which is the second installment of this series. I rated this one 4 stars. This one has a way faster pace for me. I was honestly hooked the entire time while reading this. However, I do want to say that the way Larson kind of writes about women or kind of describes them did make me uncomfortable at times. It's just one of those things where you're just like, this was written by a man, and also a woman would never describe another woman like that. So just keep that in mind, but I definitely think these are really great thrillers to read. But yeah, those were a pretty solid series for me. Number 15, I have it, but I didn't feel like pulling it out of my bookcase because she's thick and she's under a bunch of books, so I was like, it's okay. But is The Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I gave this one 4 stars. It's the 3rd book in the Dark Artifices series. It's in the Shadowhunter world. I thought it was a good conclusion to the series. I just didn't think it was anything super impactful for me personally. But I did love the series as a whole. It's very heartbreaking at times, and I did really enjoy it. Some tropes are love triangle and forbidden love. Actually, no. Well, kind of love triangle, but it's not really, it's not really love triangle. You think there is one, but there really isn't. I meant to say it's mostly predominantly forbidden love. So I kind of love me that trope. So yeah, I recommend that series. I just love Cassandra Clare though, so yeah. Okay, number 14 is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I gave 4 stars. This is about an isolated, quirky witch who is hired to teach 3 young witches to help control their magic because they have someone coming to their property who does not know about magic. And when she goes there, secrets are unburied, and there's also love that blossoms while she's there. This was a very cozy, lighthearted read. So if you like the cozier, gushy type reads, this is a great one for you. It has the found family trope. It has grumpy sunshine in it. And it has magic and potions, and it was super cute to read. At 13, I have Beach Read, which I rated 3.5 stars. This one is about a romance writer and a literary writer who switched genres as kind of a summer challenge, and also because they're feeling a little uninspired, but there's a rivals to lovers trope and are kind of like, well, you couldn't write my genre, so they kind of challenge each other and switch genres and hope to find a spark of passion while they do that. It's super cute. Of course, Emily Henry's hard-hitting quotes about life and everything you're going through is always great to read. So I just love Emily Henry, so you can never go wrong with an Emily Henry book. At 12, I have The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I rated this one 4 stars. I remember at the time when I read it, I really did not enjoy it because it's bleak, it's super tragic. Like, literally until the last 5 pages, it's just so tragic and heartbreaking. However, I just could not stop thinking about it. And still, like, sometimes I just remember this book and I have such a bittersweet feeling. It felt like I was there in a way. So I think this is very well deserving and being like one of the best books I read of 2023. This is about a girl and her family moving to the wild and untamed Alaska in the 70s. And there they face dangers in nature and also the dangers within her own father. Overall, it was just beautiful. It just felt like I was in Alaska, and it was majestic, and yet you could feel the dangers of it as well. It just explores how life is never black or white. We live in shades of gray. It's so tragic, but at the end, it just shows you how hope and love is really what gets you through life and what really matters in the end. At 11, I have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which I rated 4 stars. And at 10, I have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which I also rated 4 stars. This is my first time reading this series ever. I've seen the movies, but I've never read them. So this is about an orphan who finds out he's a wizard, and he ends up attending a school of witchcraft and wizardry where friendship, magic, adventure, and a bit of danger awaits. They're super fun to read. They're super humorous. They literally make me laugh out loud a lot. They've all been interesting and super quick to read and just full of adventure, and the plots are just great, and the characters are just so lovable, and I just love reading their dialogue and reading about them. So I'm excited to continue. At 9 is The House in the Cerulean Sea. I rated this one 4.5 stars. This one is about a caseworker who goes to an orphanage on an island, and the orphanage is for magical youth. He's sent there to investigate the living conditions of 6 dangerous children, which is a wyvern, a gnome, a green blob, a were-Pomeranian, a sprite, and the Antichrist. So when he's there, he uncovers secrets, and it's him just learning what's actually important in life. This has the found family trope. It's super cute, it's humorous, and it's just really lighthearted. And I love TJ Klune. I love his writing. I'm currently reading Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, so I just love the way they write. So I really love this one. It felt like a warm, magical hug. It was amazing. Number 8, we have Lessons in Chemistry. This is also a 4.5 stars. This was another one where I read it and I really had kind of a hard time reading it at the beginning because it just was so different from anything I'd really read before in terms of writing. But I couldn't stop thinking about it afterwards, and also once I did get really into it, I just absolutely devoured it. This one is about a woman in the 60s who becomes the only woman on her research team, and then life throws her curveballs and she becomes a single mother and the TV star of a cooking show where she teaches women not only about science but also how to challenge the status quo. This kind of has a rivals to lovers trope. It's really funny and I loved it. I think I highlighted a lot of things in it, and this is just a book that I'll carry with me. At number 7, I have Divine Rivals, which I rated 4 stars. This one is about 2 rival journalists who communicate through magic typewriters in the middle of a war between gods. I don't know what I expected going into this. I definitely had expectations of what this was gonna be like, and Rebecca Ross definitely just broke those because it was unlike anything I've really read. It was really enjoyable. I was hooked the entire time. I really think this is one of those reads where it's better to go into it without any sort of expectations. So if you can help it, just don't read anything about it. I think it's best to just go into it blindly. It has a kind of rivals to lovers trope and it has some magical elements to it and unique lore to this world, which was really cool to read about. I will say the reason why this was just a 4 stars to me was I really loved it. I loved the world, I loved the premise, I loved the relationship in it, but I don't know why I just wasn't that affected by the ending. Maybe it's just because I know there's a second book, so I was like, like we'll see what happened or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people were saying that they were crying and sobbing, and I felt kind of crazy for not being that affected by the ending. Overall, this was just something I loved reading, and I keep thinking about it. So I can't wait to read the next one in the series. At 6, I have Dance of Thieves, which I rated this one 5 stars. I love this one! It's about a son who inherits the throne of his kingdom, in which his family claims to be one of the First Nations. And a legendary street thief becomes a soldier of the Queen's premier guard. And when their paths cross, they each have their own agendas to each preserve their kingdom, in which they risk their lives and their hearts in the process. I just love this, like everything, the politics, the plot twists, the characters, and all of the characters just have so much, well, most of the characters have just so much integrity, and you just have no idea which side to be on. There's 2 points of views, and usually when there's points of views, I'm always kind of like, oh, well, that person's more in the right than the other one. But this one, it's just, you're just torn. You're just like, I see why you're both doing these things, but also why can't you just trust each other or work something out? I just really loved this fantasy world, and this is just one of my favorite fantasy reads of 2023. Alrighty, now we're in my top 5, guys. At 5, I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I rated this one 4.5 stars. This one is about a woman who makes a deal with the devil to escape an arranged marriage in which she unknowingly curses herself to be forgotten by everyone and everything. That is, until centuries later when someone finally remembers her. This one was just beautifully written. It was thought-provoking. It takes you throughout time, so it almost feels like you're time traveling. It was just so interesting to read about the entire time, and heartbreaking, and the full spectrum of emotions. This makes you feel all of them. Number 4 is one of the book picks of my book club, and this is one of the books I don't think I would have come across on my own, so I'm really glad I read it. It's As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. That was a 5 stars for me. It's a historical fiction that depicts a main character with PTSD, and it takes place during Syria's revolution to fight for their freedom. It's beautifully written. I learned a lot about what's going on in Syria, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I had no idea what was going on in Syria. And even though it was definitely hard to read, the author does such a great job in weaving hope and faith and optimism, and how that can carry you through, and how that's just the most important part, especially when it comes to fighting against an oppressive government. Especially reading this with everything that's going on in Palestine and Israel, I just thought it was something that was really important to read. It's just something that I will carry with me forever. At number 3 is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. That was a 5 stars for me. It's a memoir. I know usually I think it's unfair to rate memoirs, but I will never forget that book. It was very impactful. I think I related a lot to some of the things she spoke about and shared. It's about her childhood fame and the abusive relationship with her mother, and the unhealthy relationship with food, and the effects all of this had on her life. Some trigger warnings, though, is that it deals with emotional, mental, physical abuse, eating disorders, fat shaming / body dysmorphia, mental illness, and grief. Honestly, I think my Goodreads review just said it all. I just kind of want to read that. I put, Jeanette McCurdy's novel was a humorous and brutally honest memoir in which she shows how she took her life into her own hands and finally started writing / living it the way she the way she wanted and deserved. However, it was not only her sharing her life story and the questionable business she was thrown into, but an exploration of the relationships we have in our own lives, familial, parental, romantic, and with food. Through the uncomfortable events, circumstances, and people, it is an intimate, validating experience. It is the reassurance that it is scary not knowing who the fuck you are without the foundation you were raised to believe in, and you can heal despite of it. And I put, thank you, Jeanette, for your vulnerability and allowing the reader the space to not feel ashamed of our darkest thoughts. Last but not least, I have number 2 is Blood Marked, which I rated 4 stars, and number 1, the best book I read in 2023 is Legendborn, which this one is a 5-star read for me. I know I've talked about this one before. It's a King Arthur retelling. There is magic in it. There's a love triangle, kind of golden retriever and edgy love triangle. There's Black and LGBTQ representation and just a strong female character. What more could you want? I just highly recommend this series. I won't go too much into it. It's just about Bree dealing with the grief of her mother's death and then kind of being thrown into a secret society and discovering that there's a lot more to it than she thought before. And then she finds out she also has powers herself. So it's amazing. I love this series. Like, I cannot wait. I've been waiting for Happy Place to become a paperback because I want it to match all of my books. But this one, I couldn't wait. I was like, I need to devour this immediately. But yeah, can't wait to continue this one. And on that note, that is the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Let me know what your new reading goal is for 2024. If you want to hit the like button or subscribe or whatever, that would be amazing. Once again, I do have a book club called Bottomless Reads. It's on Fable. I'll put a link down below if you want to join it. It's just about sipping different genres and expanding our palettes of books we haven't read before. I can't wait to see you guys sometime very soon, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. Cheers! Bye!